Luke Skywalker. For the first time. I love Luke Skywalker so fucking much, man. Luke Skywalker is my favorite Star Wars character, honestly by a lot. There's so much to love about him. He's cool, he's funny, he's a fucking badass, and essentially the perfect Jedi, and the embodiment of what that religion was meant for. But not in this movie. Vanilla Luke is a whiny brat, and I love it. Everybody's gotta start somewhere, and Luke starts out impatient and kind of useless, honestly. He doesn't really know anything, and instead would prefer to play with his toys. I like that he doesn't even get introduced until 17 minutes into the movie. It's kind of a baller move to introduce your protagonist that late, but it works and I respect it. There are a lot of deleted scenes of Luke just kind of jacking off in the desert with his friends, and they are some of the most awkward scenes I think I've ever seen. Ugh. Luke is kind of a perfect protagonist for a movie like this. He doesn't really know anything about anything. He and the viewer are the same. He's never been to space, he's never been in a battle, and when he learns what the Jedi are and what the Force is for the first time, you're there learning along with him. Which is good because just like the viewer, he's kind of stupid. Huh? Another thing worth noting is that Luke gets his lightsaber in this movie, and he hangs it on his belt for 2 hours and doesn't pull it out once. And I fucking love that. I miss when lightsabers had this mythology to them. In these 3 original movies, when a lightsaber came out, you got chills down your spine. It was so rare that these would get pulled out that when you saw them, it was, aw, fuck, here we go. Nowadays, every lightsaber has to have a gimmick. Look at my lightsaber, it's got 2 blades. Oh yeah, well mine has a curved handle. Oh, well I got 4 of them. No, but mine has a cross guard on it. Oh, but mine are white and I got 2 of them. I'm fucking sick of it. The lightsabers in these original movies really do feel like an elegant weapon from a more civilized age. They feel like they have more weight to them. They feel like they're less of a flashy device and more of an actual weapon. I don't know, I feel like new Star Wars kind of makes lightsabers and the Force feel more like superpowers than actual mythology. Like in this movie, you can look back at the scene in Obi-Wan's hut where Obi-Wan explains the Force, and it is the most interesting shit ever. It is explained to us as purely spiritual. And I don't know, I kind of find that a little more interesting than, oh look, I can fucking teleport shit across the galaxy. It's stupid, I don't like it. Luke's character in this movie isn't the most complicated or the most unique. He isn't the Luke we all know from the other movies, but I think it's important to show the beginnings of a character like this. We need to see his actual potential before being able to get behind things, like him being set up as the only hope for the galaxy. Because this first movie was originally supposed to be the first act of a much larger movie titled Adventures of Luke Starkiller as taken from the Journal of the Whills, Saga 1, The Star Wars. Wow. Adventures of Luke Starkiller as taken from the Journal of the Whills, Saga 1, The Star Wars would span the story of what would eventually become the whole trilogy. But I think that would actually kill audiences in the 70s. I love this movie because it's a lot more simple than anything else in the series, but sometimes simple is good. Every other Star Wars movie has so many plot lines happening and so many planets and characters, but this movie has one main plot line, only like 2 planets, and all our characters are together. I think the most telling example of this is how the other movies always have like 2 or 3, sometimes even 4 battles happening at once, and this movie only has 1. The Trench Run. The Trench Run is one of the most exhilarating things in the series, and admittedly, I kind of slept on it for most of my life. As a kid, I just wanted to see lightsabers, but now as an adult, I'm able to understand that the pace of this sequence and the way tension is built throughout it is a genuine masterclass of all kinds of filmmaking, especially editing. Right off the bat, I love that there's not a lot of witty banter between the pilots. It really makes the Death Star feel like the juggernaut that it is. There's no quips, there's no jokes, it is all business. There's even a point where Wedge speaks up and makes a comment about the size of the Death Star and essentially gets told to shut up.
Cut the shot all right, too.
I love how hopeless the battle feels right from the beginning. Everyone and their mother are just dying left and right before they even make it to the trench. You slowly watch these fighters struggle like hell, and when they finally make their way for the bombing run, you finally get to feel that small victory, and then they all get blown up and we're back where we fucking started. And it's all only elevated by the fact that the effects are great, the music is amazing, and it's even better when it cuts out and the whole scene is built on the sound design. The static engines of the X-Wings clashing with the swelling in and out of the TIE fighters. Good shit. And I've said it already, but the editing throughout this whole sequence is a fucking masterclass. Marsha Lucas, aka the greatest person of all time, uses B-roll footage of the base on Yavin 4 to show how much pressure there is on the fighters, continuously cutting to them not really saying or doing anything. It makes the whole thing feel so serious. If even these guys are standing around watching, it must be serious. And don't even get me started on when fucking Darth Vader shows up and just starts killing everybody. Just like, forget it, this is the best movie of all time. Vader in this whole sequence is like Bruce in Jaws. You don't really see him a lot and you barely ever know where he is, but you always know that he's lurking behind someone, and at any given moment, he'll just disappear, reappear, fucking waste some dudes, and then disappear again. It's the raddest thing I've ever seen. I think on paper, basing a dogfight sequence on the premise of, yeah, so you just gotta fly down this really long straight path and then press a button at the end, is kind of terrible. Like, whenever they try to do this in video games, it's never really that fun because you're just moving forward. But at least with a video game, you're actually playing it. Doing it in a movie sounds even worse. But then you see it in practice and you're wiggling your toes and clenching your ass cheeks. Throughout the whole movie, you're shown the size of the Death Star, the amount of people on it, what it's capable of, and the thought of blowing it up seems genuinely impossible, even for a computer. And this, coupled with the fact that the Death Star itself is moving into position to blow up Yavin, makes this so fucking intense. I love how many factors are at play and that the battle itself has a 3-act structure and that Luke goes through his own mini character arc during the battle, essentially culminating everything he's learned throughout the movie. At the start of the battle, he's kind of kicking back. Red Leader's the one calling all the shots. He's gonna be the one to blow this thing up, sweat and all. He gets down the trench and he fires and misses. Just completely fucks it up. Nice shot! And then he just eats shit and dies. So Luke steps up. The whole movie, he's demonstrated that he's had moments of being a leader, and now that the whole battle depends on him, he takes charge. He starts giving orders and is ready to completely take over for Red Leader. He gets into position, uses his targeting computer, ready to put the entire fate of the mission into a machine, but then he hears Obi-Wan starts talking to him, and he realizes he's gotta do it his way. He switches off the targeting computer and gets ready to let go, and then Han comes in! Yeah! Both their arcs throughout this entire movie culminate in the same moment. Luke steps up and becomes a leader, taking his first steps into a larger world, and Han accepts his new life as a rebel hero and starts believing in Luke and the Force. And then obviously there's the fucking bum 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 bum. Oh man, whew! I gotta go grab some new pants. I'll be right back, guys. Don't go anywhere.